What's up, Jays fans? I'm Peter Vryonis alongside Nick Gosse. Before we get into anything baseball today, we just want to send our well wishes to Damar Hamlin and his family, as well as the Buffalo Bills and everyone involved in yesterday's scary incident in Monday Night Football. And it just shows you that life is very precious. So, my message to all of you is just hug your loved ones a little bit harder today. Tell them that you love them, and it doesn't matter where you're at in life. He's top 1% of the world. Life can always turn its ugly head, so just don't take any moment for granted.
Yeah, it like you said, it goes to show life is the most important thing at the end of the day. So we'll get into some sports news today, but that was definitely the most important news of the day yesterday. And well wishes to him and his family and the Bills team as well. But I guess we'll get into the first topic now. Here's the first topic. So let's get into some baseball. Andrew McCutchen to the Jays. Now we've discussed a lot of potential, at fourth outfielders, and this one has come up recently, and I think he could be maybe the best fit out of all of them from a clubhouse perspective, from all that perspective. So I'll pop up a few screenshots here. This is McCutchen the last three seasons: a 325 OBP, 742 OPS plus, 103 WRC plus. So nothing special there. But against left-handed pitching, 142 WRC plus with a 901 OPS. And now this guy says you got Varsho and Kiermaier in the outfield. Now go get your lefty masher to complement. Sign all the old dudes. Let's go. So what are your initial thoughts on Andrew McCutchen? And I'll show you in a few minutes that we have had interest in him in the past, way back in 2016. But obviously he's past his prime now. But he still has a lot left in the tank, especially for sprinting and all those things.
Yeah, exactly. You said it yourself. He is past his prime, but he's still got a lot left to give. And it's not just his play on the field, it's his leadership as well. Guy's a former MVP. He's still a very valuable major league piece. So getting him, he's no longer a center fielder. He'd be a corner outfielder, probably left field now. But he's above average in left field, and he still runs the bases very well. So he fits the bill of what the Blue Jays are trying to do right now, and it would be a great fit. He hits lefties very well, like you said. A 900 plus OPS is nothing to laugh at. So McCutchen, great leadership presence, great veteran guy, and he would be, I think, the ideal ad. Maybe I think even better than AJ Pollock and Robbie Grossman, because he was once at the top of the game, and none of those guys were.
Yeah, I agree. And we have a few more screenshots. I think he's probably the best at. And here's the breakdown from each year. Obviously, last year it was still he was above average, but it started to fall off a bit. Back in 2021, 169 WRC plus versus lefties, and he can still play a solid left field. Obviously, can't play center field anymore, but a solid left field, which is kind of what we need anyways. And he has 90th percentile speed at age 36 and is renowned as one of the best guys in baseball. So I don't know. I feel like it would be a perfect fit. And this is from an article basically discussing some potential, good fits for the Jays. And Andrew McCutchen was there. So his name is coming up a lot. And obviously last year didn't have his best year, only a .3 WAR. But I'll quickly throw up this for you to just to show you and put it in perspective. This is his baseball savant from last year, even though he's kind of older. He still has very solid baseball savant, even hitting. It's most of them are above average, and he has 90th percentile speed. Obviously, his arm strength isn't really there as much anymore, but I don't know. When comparing him to AJ Pollock or Robbie Grossman, I feel like, especially like you said, he has done MVP level baseball before, so maybe him as a veteran presence. And we were interested in back in 2016, so maybe it'll come full circle for this World Series run we're gonna go for.
And Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro, they've clearly shown that they want a culture change in the locker room, and guys that are serious about winning. And who better than Andrew McCutchen, a guy that leaves it all out there on the field, that's still got a lot left to give, I may add. So it would be, I think, the ideal move for the Toronto Blue Jays. And he still hits righties at a decent clip. He's not just some platoon guys. So let's say Kevin Kiermaier goes down with an injury, he can easily slot in and have Varsho move over to center field. Like, it just gives the Blue Jays another wrinkle that they could throw at teams, and I think that's a very underrated aspect of what he could bring.
Yeah, and I think again, when the question between him, Robbie Grossman, AJ Pollock, I'd probably rank him McCutchen, then Pollock, then Grossman. But I don't know. As long as we get a fourth outfielder that maybe is of those caliber, that would really put us, to the point where I'm happy with the offseason. I don't know how you feel about it. I'm pretty happy either way, even if we don't make another move and we use internal options. But
Yeah, me too.
I feel like McCutchen in general would just be. Now, who knows if he wants to play here? It's not that hasn't been confirmed yet. But if we just get him, I feel like that would be the final, hitter that we need to complete the offseason fully.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. I still think we need maybe a bullpen
Yeah.
piece or two, maybe some internal options take that leap and become very reliable in 2023. I mean, it remains to be seen, but we're only in January. There's still a ways to go before opening day rolls around, and adding a veteran like Andrew McCutchen, who's still a pretty damn good player, it's never a bad thing.
Yeah, and let us know what you guys think about that. And let's move into the second topic now. I have a couple quick ones, but this is interesting. This is MLB released their power rankings, and Peter, I'll get your opinions on it, and I'll touch on mine as well. I'll throw up the screenshot here now. The Jays are ranked ninth with Phillies sixth, Dodgers seventh, Mariners eighth, Jays ninth, Rays 10th. So what are your thoughts on that? And obviously, you have the other higher echelon teams in the 1 to 5, but the Jays ranked ninth in this on the power rankings. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree with it. I agree with it. Nothing that they did last year indicates that they deserve the same amount of hype that they had going into the season. And I think that ultimately led to their downfall, being so overhyped, being the favorite to come out of the American League last season. And I mean, Vladdy, you know the memes. Last year was the trailer. This is going to be the movie.
Yep.
Like you said, it was a horror movie. It was one of those movies that you don't want to be watching before going to bed. So it was a tough year last year. They didn't live up to the lofty expectations that everyone had for them. And I think this is good. A little slice of humble pie before the year starts. Prove yourselves again, and just show that you're one of the top teams and not expect to be one of the top teams. So I like it. I like where they're ranked. I feel like anything higher than that would be detrimental to the team's success. So good ranking. And they are the ninth best team, I think, in the major leagues right now. They have a lot to prove.
Yeah, they definitely have a lot to prove. I don't know how much necessarily they look at these things, but obviously pressure last year was pretty immense. I guess they were definitely favored to get out of the East, and this year that's obviously not the case. And look, when looking at the rankings one more time, the only one that I mean, I probably would still swap the Mariners and Blue Jays, but I understand why because we lost in the wild card game. They wouldn't
Yeah.
do that, but I saw some people on Twitter saying that as well, and that was the only thing is because I still think we have an objectively better team than the Mariners right now, especially because they haven't improved too much in the offseason. That being said, they did beat us in the wild card game handily, so I guess it maybe that was just a bit of we deserve it. We deserve to be one rank below them, and I can't really complain too much about that. And do you have
Yeah.
any other teams you want to touch on, or are you good with what you said?
I think the Phillies are a little bit low in my opinion. They just made a World Series run last season, and now they're not even in the top 5, and they got better. They added Trey Turner. So that doesn't make sense to me, but uh I understand what you're saying about the Mariners and the Blue Jays. I do think the Jays have a little bit of a more balanced roster right now than the Mariners, but at the same time, they have the best player between either team. They have Julio Rodriguez, and the Blue Jays don't. So you look at that and you say, well, if you head into the playoffs and you have a guy like Julio on your team, then he's probably the guy that could put you over the top as opposed to a Vladdy. But who knows? Vladdy could have a comeback year and show that he's an MVP caliber player as well.
Yeah, I'm betting on a Vladdy bounce back here. Now, obviously, Julio has the advantage because
Me too.
he's in center field, so he's a great defender, so he is obviously going to have more value off rip. But if Vladdy can go back to his 2021 ways, I'm sure Julio has the potential to. I'm not sure he's there quite yet, but maybe he is. Who knows? We'll see. But we'll see how Vladdy does, and we'll get into the final topic of the video, which is the Blue Jays' odds to win the World Series. Just kind of bounces back off what we just looked at and see how it compares. And this one's nothing too crazy here. It is so you have the Mets number one, the Padres number two. The Mets are the favorites by a fair margin. It's still plus 60 or 650, but the Jays are down at 7. So a bit, and so much higher than or the same actually as the Mariners, but they're sixth. Or Dodgers are sixth, Jays are seventh, Astros are fifth. Do you have any thoughts on this here as the season's about to not about to start, but starting soon?
Yeah, last year I think the Blue Jays were plus 800 to win the World Series, which is basically two times better odds than what they have right now. So 8-1 as opposed to 16-1 what they are right now. And like I said, it's about right. It's about right. It's a good valuation of the Toronto Blue Jays. They made a couple of good ads that'll help the team a lot this year, I feel, but you don't know how they're going to play out. And I guess I rather them prove it than be expected to do it before the season starts, because that's when things start to get a little bit tricky for this team. And if expectations are too high, then it just, I don't know. I feel like we can be let down as Jays fans, as opposed to going in there with an underdog mentality and really showing that we're for real.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I mean, I agree with what you said. And at the end of the day, none of this really matters in terms of of play. But I'll
No.
show it up one more time. So this website has a bit different power rankings. They have us at 7 and the Mariners at 10. That's why it kind of confused me there. But our odds to win the World Series are the same as the Jays, even though, or the same as the Mariners, even though our power rankings are slightly higher. So that's interesting. And obviously, each website has different power rankings. But I like the, like you said, I like the MLB one. I think that's fair. And I don't know. It's going to be interesting to hopefully prove teams wrong. I might throw some money down on them to win the World Series. Who knows? Just for something to do. I know I did last year and it didn't work out, but I don't know. That'll wrap up the video. It's very interesting articles to look at, and again, well wishes to the Bills team and to Hamlin as well. And do you have any final thoughts before I wrap it up?
Yeah, exactly. Just well wishes to Damar Hamlin. Hopefully, a speedy recovery. It just shows that football and sports in general comes secondary to the game of life, and you could be at the top of whatever you're doing, and then the next minute, you're fighting the real battle of life. So let's hope he can recover quickly, and just remember to never take any minute for granted.
Yeah. See you guys tomorrow.